Oh, guys. Oh, guys. I'm stealing that. Oh, Lizzie. Hey, guys. How is everybody? What is that? Looking. Hey, don't. It's really hot in my house. I also am trying out a new hairstyle. I want to talk about it. Fuck it, I'm saying it. I was really insecure today. Fuck it, I'm saying it. I was really insecure today. And I'm gonna talk about it. But how is everybody? Happy Friday? Happy Friday? K-Dog going to be acting up. Hey, she always does. She always does. Rena looks for... love you. Love you. Hi, guys. Hi, Yee. Hi, Maro. Hi, Samantha. Hi, Lizzie. Hi. Yee. I already said Yee. Hi, OG. Am I missing anybody? I support the new hairstyle. Thank you. Okay. Hi, Parker. Welcome in, guys. Okay. This hairstyle's been trending, right? It's called a slick back, I think, because you're slicking your hair back. My dear friend Serena did my hair the other day, and I really liked it. Okay, she did it nicely. It looked cool. It looked very like clean girl aesthetic, and so I was like, I'm gonna try it for work today, and I thought that was a racial slur. I hope not. I don't think it is. Please tell me it's not. Hello? I missed the word. Slick back? Slick back? I hope it's not. Thank you. Anyway, I did this and oh, that is a bad word. I come into work and my manager, before he even says good morning to me, he points and says slick back. And I said, I was already feeling very insecure this morning and you just made it way worse. And he's like, no, I've just never seen you with that. It looks nice. Da, da, da. And I'm just like, fuck, okay. Mind you, this is like, I clock in at like 4:59. He says this at 5:01. So I'm like, fuck, dude, like, what did I do to myself? What did I do to myself? And then just throughout the day, I've never done this to my hair, okay? Like, I'm very much like, hair's out, like, just, if I have my hair up, it's like only kind of half up. So this was very different. I think it looks fine. I think I don't know. I think I'm giving it too much thought. But anyway, it definitely made me feel weird. I had other people come up to me, like my Russian coworker, the Marina does not have boyfriend guy. He was like, he came up to me and was like doing this to his hair. I'm like, okay, so you notice as well. Like, I don't notice when people change their hair. I don't know why everyone else did today with me. But it definitely got me out of my comfort zone and I didn't change it. Yeah, I don't have a girlfriend either. He's right. You're right. So I don't know. I like it. It's so hot. And I didn't want to wash my hair last night, so I was like, I'm just going to do it. And if I hate it, I mean, I don't hate it. That's the thing. I think I just need to get used to it. I've just never had my hair like this. And it's so freaking hot. I want to start this by saying I have to be at work tomorrow at 4 in the morning. So I don't know how long I'm going to stream. And part of me wants to just have a little hangout and then, you know, but we'll see. We'll see how I feel. We'll see how it goes. it's good to step out of your comfort. I agree, Samantha. And you know what? I stepped out of it, and whenever I looked in the mirror, I was like, I have a pretty face. So I'm glad I did it. I don't regret it. Heck, I might even do it again tomorrow because I don't want to wash my hair again tonight. So, we'll see. I don't know. This is a new shirt. It's freaking hot as frick, and it feels good to not have sleeves. That became a slur because of mass deportation operations that was done during the Eisenhower presidency. Yo! Yeah, I would never say a slur. But yeah, so work today was fine. Stinky cheese, that's me. I'm trying to think of anything else oh my god, I used my Keurig for the first time this morning. Except Ritz crackers, exactly. That's the one I can say. I used my Keurig this morning, and I kind of fucked it up a little bit. I'm not very, I only drink pre-made coffee, like pre-made, like packaged coffee. So this is my first time like where I get to choose how much like cream and sweetener and da-da-da-da. I made it way too sweet. Tomorrow's will be better. I can already tell. So it's gonna be a fun little time trying new coffees and using my Keurig. I think I want to get one of those reusable pods because I already do not like how much waste I am producing with my Keurig pods. I guess I didn't realize if you want to save those pods, you can buy ones. Yes, that's exactly. Yeah, it's a lot of plastic. You decided to be a hummingbird today. You decided to be a hummingbird today? Me? Huh? So that's I think I am gonna get one of those pod things. Oh, they drink sugar water. No, literally, it was so sweet. It was too sweet. I was thankful that the break room had some like coffee concentrate in it. So I was able to pour some of that into my drink and kind of balance it out a little bit. But anyway, learn from my mistakes. Tomorrow will be better. Other than that, I want to show you guys what I got my sister for her birthday. My sister's birthday is coming up. And she, I hope she likes this. I don't know. My sister is hard to buy. She's hard to buy for. She doesn't like many things. So I was like, okay, what can I get her? And I just saw that Jellycat released a new collection of animals, and it's kind of like woodland creatures. And my sister loves, more than anything, raccoons. So, I ordered this raccoon. What is Jellycat? It's a brand of, it's just like really nice quality stuffed animals. I have another one here. This is a dog. Ignore his little antenna, but this is also a Jellycat. It's this, you'll see this little tag. This is a Jellycat. This is, yeah, it's just stuffed animals, but they're really nice. They're really nice. They're the good kind. They got little hands. Little hands. Hello. Anyway, got that for my sister. I'm excited to give her that. Wait, let's flip it upside down so that when she opens it, it's right way up. But yeah, so that's exciting. I love gift giving. I love buying things for other people. That'll be fun to give to her. What else do I have to say? I don't know. What's Lana doing today? I'm just being nosy. She's just chatting, I think. She's just chatting. He's so cute. Part of me wants to keep him. Any Jellycat I see, I want to keep for myself, and I don't, because I can't. That's so bad. But I love stuffed animals. I'm still wondering when I'm gonna grow out of the phase of loving stuffed animals. When it's Heath Bar's birthday, It's in August. I don't wanna dox her, but it's in August. Anyway, that's that. I want to potentially, okay, here are a few things we could do. I want to be the first to say happy birthday though. Just say it on August 1st and then you'll be the first. No matter what day it is, okay? Say it on August 1st. Anyway, so that was my day. Overall, it was a nice day. It's so funny, like the days where my friends, like my really good friends, aren't at work, I get so much work done. I did so much today. So that was cool. I got a lot of work done. But it wasn't that fun. Tomorrow, I say every single day in August, you will get it right. Yeah, say it every day. Then you'll one day it'll be right. And you'll be the first. That's so funny. Okay, here's what I want to do today, okay? We really have two main options. Two options. Feeling a bit emotional times. I'm not going to chat, but I'll be listening. K-Dog, love you so much. I hope you... Oh, redeem a picture. I hope you take care of yourself. Sweet, sweet girl. We love you. I will draw that picture in a second, Goo. Welcome in. Okay, here's the deal. I have a few things I want to maybe do today. 1, we paint. 2, we craft / video react. 3, we do something else. Okay? Here's the thing. The craft is specific. I have this craft in mind that I will make a poll. I will make a poll. Hang on. It's this thing that I want to make. Oh, see, it's so expensive. Like, obviously I want to make my own. Okay, it's this thing. Open image in new tab. Okay. I want to create one of these. Hold on. Open image in new tab. Okay. This right here is something that I saw online, and it's called a bubble poi. Bubble poi. It's essentially this, like, I don't know if it's like metal, but like I think that this is yarn. That's at least what I bought to make mine. It's, you take these and then you dip them in soap solution, like bubble soap solutions, and then you swing them around, and it's kind of like something you'd see at a rave, but like obviously I'm not a raver. I would just be doing this like at the park or something. But you swing these around and you create these insane like bubble. I don't want to say what I first thought. Please say what you first thought, because I don't know what you were thinking. My surname is Rave. Sir Rave. Goo, what would you like a picture of? Let me get that going. Okay, this is one craft. Let me see if I can find a video. Okay, here. Open image or open link in new tab. Okay, wait. Yeah, okay, she shows it. This is what the kind of beads that are used for pleasure for those who are into that. Yes, we support all of that. As long as it's safe and consensual. Okay, this is it. How do I start over a... Okay, one second. I want to show you. Okay, so this is what it is. Stop. Okay, this is it. This is what I'd be creating. Because I saw these online, okay? And I was like, oh my God, those are so cool. I looked online, $80. That's without shipping, $80. I said, fuck no, I can make that for less than $20, okay? And I'll have a grand old time doing it. So I looked at these online. I found all the information I could about these. Wait, why do I have 2 cameras? That's crazy. Anyway, that lady is for sure into crystals. Hell yeah. But like, watch this. So that's dipped in soap solution. And then she's just swinging these things around. Doesn't that look so fun? Doesn't that look so fun? You could probably use shower rings like wooden. That's exactly what I was thinking, Samantha, for like the bigger ones. I have these. These are little key rings. I think I'm gonna start by using these because I know where these are. But if I were to do this again, I could do that. But and then I have wire that I'm gonna make for the bigger circles. But okay, this is something that I really want to make. It just ever since I've seen this, I was like, I want to do this. I want to make one of those. But Goo, did you tell me what you wanted me to draw? Okay, so that's one option. Okay, that is one crafting option. The second crafting option, yes, the bigger ones need to be pretty heavy. That is what I might come across as an issue. I don't know. I kind of just want to test this out, and I want to make a little one to start. So even just one where I'm going like, wee, like it doesn't need to be super heavy. But I feel like, I don't know. She seems like an icon. Yeah, she does. Love her. So that is the first option of a craft. The second option is to, I ended up getting a smaller pot because I got tired of making the really long, what did I say? I got tired of making the little plant things that I'm making for my coworker because she gave me the guitar and I'm giving her a gift back because she said if I wanted to give her something, to give her a craft that I've made, Anyway, I got this tiny pot so that I can finish it faster and give it to her. So that is potentially an option, is to craft and make this little crocheted and beaded plant to give to her. So that is the second option. So it's the bead plant, bubble wand thing, or painting. Okay, those are the three different kind of artsy crafty things that I wanted to do. If I painted, I don't think I would want to watch any videos. So the only way we would be watching a video is if I were to be doing one of these other crafts. Okay, so I'm gonna put that in the poll just in case you guys new poll. What do? Okay, painting is all on its own. We have bubble thingy and videos, and then we have plant thingy and videos. Okay. Just vote. Draw Lisa Simpson with a beak again, please. That is part of a larger project. Date the note too. I can do that. Okay, 1 second. So those are the three options for voting today. I have too many teacups in here. Too many teacups. Let's see. Cam 2. Oh, what the heck? I wonder what's... Put your lovin' where your mouth is. Weird. Sugar talking as I'm working tonight. Yes. Add video capture device. There it is. Hi, Joe. Hey, Joe. Don't look at that. I'm just kidding. I don't care that you broke your elbow. Okay, 1 second. Ha ha ha. Sugar talking isn't working tonight. Did you stick around long with the stream you rated yesterday? Not really. I said a little bit, or I stayed a little bit, and then usually like I have to go pretty quick after I raid because I got stuffs to do. Why? Okay, let me try this. I'm gonna do this one from memory, okay? You got the dud. I don't know why that looks weird. That's Lisa Simpson from memory with a beak. That's not bad. You know what? I've done worse. I've done worse. Okay, what are the results? You're welcome. Well, he was asking about your stream and what you do. Someone told you you painted. Oh, I did see that. Doja. Yeah, like, was he thinking like what's her name? Doja Cat? Wait, where's my... Did I not do the poll? Oh, wait, poll ended. Well, what is the poll? View results. Plant thingy and videos. Okay, we can do that. Plant 1. Okay, we're gonna do the plant. We have some cool guys seem genuinely interested. Oh, I feel bad. I usually when I end my stream, it's like I gotta start getting ready for bed or like, stuff like that. So I usually don't stick around. Sometimes I keep the stream up. How could stop? I know I'm evil. Let me move my paint. Water. Evil. Okay. We're gonna craft. May I suggest we watch the Boy Cuba video? I was kind of hoping we would, unless there is something else that people want to watch. I think that would be a fun one. Is it in video reacts? Video reacts. There we go. Have you ever accidentally drank the paint water? Because I have. I think I've put it up to my mouth. I don't know if I've actually taken a sip. Okay, hour and 27 minutes. That's a solid amount of time. Okay. Can I sneak this boat through a military blockade? Oh, I'm so excited. 10 out of 10, do not recommend. I won't do it. Thank you, Samantha. Okay, we are going to watch one of my favorite YouTube channels. called Boy Boy. I'm gonna add this to the title so people can know what we're watching. Boy Boy. Boy Boy. Okay. I'm so happy to almost be on my weekend. 2 more days. 2 more days. 2 more days. 2 more days. I love Boy Boy because it's boy and boy. I love boy and boy. Give me more of that. We need more of that as a society. Okay. Should I put my little camera up here too of what I'm doing on my desk? Or is that too overwhelming? If I added... that looks so weird. If I added this so you guys can see what I'm doing, or do you not care? Because then I can craft in the corner. I will add commentary through this and add some things. Okay, perfect. Max stimming. And then in this top corner, I'm going to have Subway Surfers. And then on the other side, I'm going to have someone jumping through the Minecraft like tunnels and things like that. Yeah. Add a hernia cam. Okay, someone needs to volunteer. Okay, let me do that. Oh, shit. There we go. Should I do it bigger? I want to see your art. Well, I want to see you, baby. It's going to be really tiny, but at least you'll be able to see my hands, I guess. I don't know. Whatever. I don't want to make it too big. Whatever. It's there. Okay, here we go.
So I was sailing in the Caribbean recently and I noticed something really strange happening. You see, these fishing boats, they just keep exploding. Look, you can see it here. If you look at the footage from the cameras of America's MQ-9 Reaper drones, you can see it right there. It's really weird. Like 200 fishermen have just spontaneously combusted so far. And what's even weirder is that the US Navy is here too.
Is that better?
And they've been intercepting ships in the Caribbean that are trying to bring supplies to Cuba. So obviously I was very confused. So I decided the best way to work out what was going on is to, you know, get on a fishing boat and try to bring 30 tons of humanitarian aid to Cuba.
Evacuate your engine room immediately. In one shot, blew up the engine room. The ship stopped. A very profitable business. Who would have thought we were doing that? We're like pirates. We're sort of like pirates.
Looks like such big balls, it's insane. They're
so you're
actually
probably thinking
ginormous.
two things right now, right? Number one is that I'm obviously back at home, you know, filming the intro segment to this video, so I guess I didn't die or I didn't go to prison, but you actually have no idea where I'm filming this video from, do you? Like I could be doing it from a CIA black site, or maybe I'm filming it from hell, right? Maybe I'm dead, right? You actually have no idea what happens to me in this video. And the second thing you're thinking is, why does the US have a naval blockade of Cuba and why are they blowing up all these boats? Well, to find out, we need to know what's going on between the US and Cuba and how it all started. So for about 4,000 years, Cuba was home to 2 million people. Then the Europeans came in 1535 and through a very delicate balance of slavery and brand new cutting-edge diseases like smallpox, in just 30 years the indigenous populations were declared completely extinct. At that point, the Europeans had the same feeling that I had when I ate an entire jar of pickles at 2 a.m. and then didn't have the ingredients left for my sandwich the next day. Without the indigenous slaves, the Europeans would have to do all the work. And they didn't come all the way from Europe to just like pick sugarcane forever, so they imported a brand new kind of slave from a different continent to, you know, replace all the ones that they killed. And they actually kind of look like this, because they look quite different, these ones. Let's see. Asian, white, Asian. Yeah, so the new ones look like this, which is it's pretty good. Anyway, the Europeans fixed that extinction problem and the system worked pretty well for them for another 300 years until the Cubans got sick of being slaves on plantations, and I guess the Spanish got bed sores or something from sleeping on piles of bones all day. So the US actually stepped in and helped kick out the Spanish. But the main thing the Cubans got out of it was replacing a handful of Spanish plantation owners with a handful of Cuban and American plantation owners, and all their profits went to US companies instead of the King of Spain. And this system continued for the next 60 years, right? The Cuban countryside was a giant US sugarcane plantation. American companies controlled about 70% of the land, and the remainder of it was owned by just the 0.5% of rich Cubans. Illiteracy and malnutrition was through the roof, but in the cities, they had so much disposable food that they started using their spare grapes and bananas to make hats. And you can see them here dancing with these stupid hats for a bunch of guys with equally stupid names like Lucky, the Bug, Joe Bananas, not to be confused with Joe Diamonds, Joe Batters, Joe Fish, and Fat Joe, who were also there, and along with a guy called the Little Man and another guy also called the Little Man. You see, Havana, the capital of Cuba, was known as the Las Vegas of Latin America.
Can we all just get along
not
and
just because it was the mecca for gambling and prostitution, but because it was run entirely by the US Mafia. Here's mob kingpin Maya Little Man Lansky hanging out in Havana with the US-backed Cuban dictator Fulgencio Batista. They're getting along really well because Batista let the mob buy up every hotel and casino in the city and pass laws that facilitated their money laundering and their narcotics and human trafficking. And, the mob loved him. I mean, not enough to give him a stupid nickname like Bobby Gabagool, but still, they made a crazy amount of money together. And any Cuban who got in the way of this racket was executed by the dictator's secret police. Or, if you're lucky, like Fidel Castro over here, they'll just torture you and then exile you to Mexico. Now, at the time, Batista didn't realize that this was the biggest fumble in history because Castro was about to grow a beard. And with a group of 82 other bearded Cubans and a bunch of guns, he decided to sail back to Cuba from Mexico in a tiny 12-person boat that was called Granma. Which, I mean, look, I don't get it either, but they wanted to liberate Cuba from this corrupt dictatorship. Unfortunately, they were immediately ambushed by Batista's army, and only 12 of them survived the landing, and they fled to the mountains. Now, in any normal situation, this would be the end of the revolution, but the interesting thing about Batista is that literally every single person hated him. So for the next 3 years, these 12 bearded men became thousands of bearded men, and women too. And by 1959, they had defeated Batista, who, fled the country with $424 million he embezzled from his corrupt dictatorship. Fidel Castro became the leader of this new Cuban government, and let me tell you, he got to work immediately. They skyrocketed to 7th in the world in literacy rates, eliminated poverty, brought electricity to the entire countryside, and established a system of free, universal healthcare, achieving lower infant mortality than the US and more doctors per capita than any country in the world. It's crazy what they did. I mean, you have 9/11 first responders traveling to Cuba so they can get treatments they can't access in the US.
This one test that they recommended I take is about $5,000 to $7,000. I have no medical coverage, so I can't go for the last part of the test.
No, but that's actually someone else's documentary, and you're watching my one right now, so just don't worry about that video. Now, in order to do all this cool stuff, the new Cuban government had to make a lot of enemies, right? So a big part of eliminating poverty is getting rid of Cuba's colonial plantation system, which means taking the land back from the 0.5% of the population that owned it and distributing it to the farmers who actually worked and lived on the land. Now, the Cuban government actually wanted to do it all by the book. They didn't just take the land, they offered to buy the land off the, handful of plantation owners. But like every multinational business from Apple to Amazon to Google, they paid zero tax by cooking the books. They shift their profits around so they could claim they were running at a loss. And because the new government was doing it by the book, which was cooked, they offered these businesses the amount of money that the businesses themselves had reported for the past decade. Now, every country that owned Cuban businesses, from England to Spain to Switzerland, they accepted that they had a good run doing slave labor and lying about their profits, and the jig was up, and they took the money that was offered and signed the companies over to the new Cuban government. Well, no, every single country except for the US did that. So all these Cuban plantation owners and oligarchs moved to the US, expecting that Uncle Sam would quickly invade and topple the Cuban government and, they'd get their slaves back. So the CIA, the Mafia, and Cuban exiles really gave it a good crack. They invaded Cuba 2 years later and lost, and then they did chemical warfare. Then they tried 573 different Looney Tunes-style assassination attempts on Castro. They literally tried to make him smoke an exploding cigar at one point, but, they never managed to kill the Cuban president. Look, I'm not saying that the dream team of Miami Cubans, the Mafia, and the CIA are a group of bumbling idiots who can't get anything done, right? They did manage to kill the American president on their first try, which is very impressive, right? But that's a whole other story. The point is, the Cuban plantation owners never gave up. They just kept going. They did heaps of cool action movie-style terrorist attacks against Cuba over the decades. They'd bomb passenger planes, they'd shoot bazookas at public theaters. They killed a bunch of people, they were busy guys. But unfortunately, after 70 years of living in Miami, like anyone who lives there, their brains had completely melted and they just don't have the same mojo anymore. Like, all they can do these days is, get on their knees and beg Trump to bomb them next after he's done with Iran. And when they're not doing that, they make the worst AI-generated reggaeton videos in the world. Hallucinating about a utopian US-controlled Cuba where they finally get their slaves back and, Havana has a McDonald's and a Walmart and a CBS, but somehow in their vision, the CBS isn't surrounded by fentanyl addicts like you usually get at a CBS in the USA. But whatever, it's really inspiring stuff, but unfortunately, as good as their AI videos are, the Cuban government is still in charge.
AI for real.
But there is one thing that the US did that has drastically affected Cuba, right? And it's spelled out in this declassified government memorandum from 1960, which was only a few months after the Cuban Revolution. You see, the US knew that Castro was incredibly popular, so the only way they could actually get rid of him is to completely block the country off from the outside world, bringing about hunger, desperation, and eventually the overthrow of the government. So they introduced an embargo, which the US government called the most comprehensive set of economic sanctions that any country has ever had. Now, up until this point, the US controlled Cuba for 50 years, so they were obviously Cuba's biggest trading partner. But the issue isn't that suddenly US companies were banned from trading with Cuba. It's actually much, much bigger than that. See, any country or company anywhere in the world that does business with Cuba will also be sanctioned and blacklisted by the US. So let's say the CEO of a foreign company is completely insane and says, fuck it. I really don't mind getting blacklisted and locked out of the global market. I just really, really want to sell this cancer medicine to Cuba for some reason. And even in that super rare scenario, the US can still stop them. Since the US essentially runs the, global financial system and owns the global reserve currency, the bank that facilitates this transaction will be fined $619 million for doing it, which happened to ING in 2012. And if you can't tell by all the spelling mistakes in the company's name, it's a Dutch bank. It's got nothing to do with the US, but they can still somehow be fined for dealing with Cuba. It's actually insane, right? They've made it nearly impossible for any country to buy or sell anything to Cuba, and nothing's off limits, right? Like in 2016, when the UN set up an international children's painting competition, and a 13-year-old Cuban boy with hemophilia won. And they had the award ceremony in Algiers, as you do, and the kid was meant to receive a Nikon camera as the grand prize. But after pressure from the US, Nikon, a Japanese company, refused to hand over the digital camera, all because the kid who won was Cuban, and they didn't want to compromise their business with the US. It's actually nuts. Any country in the world would have an immediate humanitarian crisis if it was locked out of all international trade like Cuba was. But in the words of former US President Jimmy Carter himself, the only reason the sanctions haven't created a humanitarian catastrophe in Cuba is because the Cuban government has somehow maintained one of the best healthcare systems in the world. Without being able to trade with anyone, the Cubans have managed to use the very little resources that they have and make it go a really, really long way. The healthcare system isn't just surviving under 70 years of the biggest economic blockade on Earth, but they're still doing international aid. A tiny country that can't trade with anyone sends more doctors to the third world than the world's 8 richest countries combined. They cured blindness for 4 million people around the world for free, and even in the more extreme cases like Haiti, Cuban doctors make
Wait, one of them was a female CIA assassin who was supposed to charm and then poison Castro. She got super close, but then fell in love with him and chose not to do it. I love that.
75% of all healthcare in the country. I mean, without Cuban doctors, there would basically be no doctors left in Haiti. It's crazy. Somehow the Cubans managed to do all this impossible stuff for almost 70 years, but that brings us to the year of the fire horse, 2026. Now, one of the only countries that's ever been brave enough to, sell oil to Cuba has been Venezuela, because they're already sanctioned to shit. So what more could the US government do, right? Well, it turns out the US government can actually do a lot more, right? Especially now that the government's been supercharged with the insatiable aura of the pedophile. In January, in the middle of the night, the US military flew in, bombed the country, killed a bunch of people, and kidnapped the president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro. And they've been holding him in US prison for the past 6 months, claiming he's a drug trafficker, which is weird because, the brother of the US Secretary of State is an actual drug trafficker, and just a month before that, Trump pardoned the president of Honduras, who actually trafficked hundreds of tons of cocaine into the United States. But whatever, look, what I'm trying to say is that they're full of shit. Apart from the fact that Maduro somehow dresses exactly like my local drug dealer, there's actually zero evidence that he's involved in drug trafficking. But at the end of the day, none of that really matters, right? Venezuela got the message loud and clear and they stopped selling oil to Cuba. And just to make sure nothing else slips through, the US has sent its military out to intercept any other country that dares sell oil to Cuba. Even civilian boats are getting intercepted. I mean, look, the New York Times actually made a cute little animation of a civilian ship trying to buy and sell oil, getting ping-ponged by a wall of US ships intercepting it in the Caribbean. But this guy's one of the lucky boats. I mean, since December, the US has killed over 200 people by drone striking random ships in the Caribbean, turning the sea into a no-go zone for pretty much anyone. Now, the US claims they're killing drug traffickers, which is kind of funny because in the United States, the punishment for dealing drugs is not execution. And so it's illegal anyway, but it's also super convenient because they've simultaneously blown up all the evidence of the supposed drug trafficking. And it's extra weird considering that the families of the victims are suing the US, showing that their dead husbands, brothers, and sons are just fishermen. And look, I don't know who to believe, right? Obviously, both these claims are equally credible, but that's beside the point, right? What I'm trying to say is the Caribbean Sea is now no man's land, right? And Cuba hasn't had any fuel for 8 months. They're going through constant blackouts, the garbage trucks, the hospitals, everything's down. It's absolutely horrifying. So as a YouTuber who cares about this stuff, my first thought was, how can I make this about me? So I teamed up with Progressive International, and together we're going to get some boats and fill them with food and medicine and see if we can get through this military blockade. Alex and I have done so much dangerous stuff in the past, and I was so excited for the next adventure, but Alex was actually too scared to do this one, right? Which, you know, I don't really care, right? My best friend doesn't want to hang out with me. It's not like a big deal. I got heaps of other friends,
and
actually.
They are how I found.
I got one other friend, Dan. Let me tell you, me and Dan, we go way back. We're talk about friends. He's probably my best friend ever, actually, now that I think about it. It's always just been me and Dan against the world, and no one else matters as far as I'm concerned. We go way back. You know those guys that go to South America? You know the guys I'm talking about? They got disgusting hair, 100 armbands. They can't stop telling you about how their ayahuasca trip freed them from all their worldly vices, but they're also inexplicably addicted to Cuban cigars now. Well, that was me and Dan 14 years ago.
My dad did ayahuasca.
We went to Cuba together back then and did everything you'd expect us to do. And look, obviously that was a long time ago, and we've both changed a lot since then, right? We both got haircuts.
And he never did.
So Dan and I were all packed and ready to fly to Mexico and to try and sail this boat through the US blockade. What we didn't realize is that since we decided to go the dangerous route by boat instead of, flying all our aid in like everybody else, this trip would essentially be a never-ending cascade of bad news. And we received our first dose of it as soon as we arrived at the airport. We got a message from the organizers. Apparently there's some fucking, cyclone. Yeah, so essentially, we're going to be delayed by 3-4 days, and we don't even know. I'm scared of the US invading Cuba. Yeah. The longer we wait, the more likely we're going to be there for when that happens.
Everyone else just flying in, hey?
Yeah, every smart person, every important person. Also, I'm scared of getting bombed by the US, and it's just now we're taking the slowest boat.
Was that what I thought it was? Stop.
Every smart person, every important person. Also, I'm scared of getting bombed by the US, and it's just now we're taking the slowest boat possible. We're going to spend a month in that little channel, just begging them to intervene. If we were fast enough, it's we've got a day. We've got a day in which can happen. That's it's not a lot of time for them, for the Navy to make decisions, But now they're going to be oh, do you want to do it today? They say nah. And then 3 days later, they check in, they're they might change their mind.
Who's our captain anyway?
I don't know.
You have no idea?
He could be a fucking psycho. He could be.
It probably is.
He could be Lieutenant Dan.
But who is this guy who's just?
I'd love to sail.
I'd love to go get bombed.
I'd love to take YouTubers on a dangerous trip to here.
No
migrants.
What the fuck
is that?
Yeah, that's weather. Trust him as my captain.
The stupid windy piece of shit. I was really scared of the cyclone and the delays, but there was another coincidental issue that made me really scared of being in Cancun specifically and waiting for the weather to clear up.
Look, we actually timed it perfectly for the peak of spring.
That is just so stupid.
Yeah.
We're going to be the most disgusting men in the world.
This is the worst.
Yeah, man, just a couple of 30-year-olds with 1,000 cameras.
They're going to have this in the background, but now I can't look away.
Real. I feel like a married man who's concocted the most transparent lie I could think of. Sorry, babe, I got to go do aid work. The children need me, man. What?
Main monitor content, hell yeah.
Popular with 18 to 25-year-olds, that's us.
We're gonna get arrested, and it's not our fault.
I was trying to do aid. Well, we're on the plane now, so there's no turning back from our destiny of, being creeps in their mid-30s going to spring break. But whatever, that's a minor annoyance. We also had to fly a really stupid way to get there. Since the US has this tendency of, arresting and deporting people who they don't like, even if they're just doing a layover and, not actually entering the US, we had to fly all the way up to Canada and then fly back down to Mexico. Oh, how are the thumbs going, Dad?
Norway
I did not think about this.
mention.
I was just like, it's only 5 hours from Cancun.
Oh, spring break.
So we just sat in the warmest diner we could find near the airport for like 13 hours. And then it was time to fly over to the climate that we actually packed clothes for. Tenemos que practicar español. Tengo una idea. Todo el vuelto. El vuelo. Solo hablamos en español.
Bueno.
Para practicar. Sí.
Claro.
Si no sabemos cómo se dice algo, tenemos que decirlo en inglés con un acento en español. Yo tengo miedo de las bombas americanas. Necesito hacer caca en mis pantalones. Sí, es como se dice. Se dice así. We finally touched down in Mexico, and we had to make our way to this little island where our boats were leaving from. So far, Mexico's the best country I've ever seen. Live music on the ferry ride, it was bloody great.
Hashtag regrets.
Bloody nice. This is the kind of thing that happens when you truly up to heaven.
It's like the Lord of the Rings, the final scene when they go to the elvish heaven.
Hearing this song when we get double tapped. I've never seen my own dad so clearly.
This is what it's gonna be like.
Floating up that way.
You ascend into the heavens.
So there we were. We're on the island, and it was time to see the boats
The US
and meet our
Spanish
fellow
seems much
sailors.
more useful, more often used than French. Oh, 100%. That's why I regret not learning it.
Jet lag. That like doesn't feel real.
Yeah.
And if we're doing something normal, it would feel surreal. We're also doing something insane. So we found the place, and it turns out our boats were just on the other side of this mangrove. Now, I went in there without filming because, I didn't want to ruin my first impression by being
really
an annoying YouTuber and sticking a camera in people's faces. But it turns out their first impression of me was actually much worse than any of that, right? Like, what happened next is probably the most embarrassing thing I've ever put on the internet. And in my defense, I was very sleep deprived, like super sleep deprived, but I don't even know why I'm making excuses, right? You're going to see it anyway. But I essentially ran away from them, right? I shat my pants and I just ran away. Like, I was only there for like 2 minutes, and I met them and I said, hi, my name is Alexa. And these are like serious activists that were on the previous flotilla to Gaza. And they started telling me all this scary stuff, like about the likelihood of us getting bombed and how dangerous the conditions are in the sea right now. And I suddenly felt like this burning sensation in my stomach, and I said I need to go poo, but then I disappeared for like 24 hours. And to be fair, I was actually pooing for a while. Like, it was one of those like serious like shirt off poos, but that only accounted for like 15 minutes of my disappearance. So the next 24 hours were mainly just me panicking and planning to go home.
You okay?
My stomach's fucked. It's so fucking bad.
Whoa, what's going on there?
Yeah, I just feel like an idiot. Did I come all this way, like, secretly knowing that I didn't want to do this thing? I just feel like the dumbest guy in the world. Like, what did I think it was going to look like? What could it possibly have looked like that wasn't this confronting? And now I'm fucking embarrassed, because, like, why did I disappear? Why was I there for 2 seconds?
Like, what are your options? I mean, I don't think you can really go home.
I mean, you can do it either. That's the thing. I can go home and just, like, learn that I'm not that guy. Like,
No, I don't think you're gonna feel good doing that.
I feel bad, but it's like, I could have died. Anything's better than that.
Yeah, you really feel...
Yeah, I'm like really scared.
Yeah.
Hours passed during this freak out. The organizers didn't know where I'd gone. Like, little did they know that I was just a kilometer away, and it was just me staring into the void and apparently stimming, which is a brand new feature I didn't realize I had for the past 30 years. But this one I worked out what the problem was. Like, it's not the fact that I'm like a pampered YouTuber who pretends he cares about the world but, can't handle any risk to his comfortable middle-class life. You see, the problem was Dan. See, Dan is one of those very kind people, right? Like a really good friend that's gonna, like, you know, when they see their friend panicking, they try to comfort them, right? Like hear them out and give them space. But that's when I realized what I actually needed was like an asshole like Alex. Right? Or whenever I freak out while we're sneaking to CIA base or laundering money, he's always been there to concoct the most sociopathically efficient way to bully me into doing something I'm terrified of.
Hey, Alex.
Yeah, I'd say green's my favorite.
Hey, Dan.
I am fucking shitting myself. I'm so scared.
We went to go meet everybody, Alex, and Alexa just decided
get
he
freaked
needed
out
to
enough to
take
shit
a
my
crap
pants.
and ran off.
I literally ran away.
No, I don't really want to do this anymore, guys. Yeah.
Oh, actually, I just remembered I need to poo, and then they never see me again.
It's exactly what you asked.
No, it is exactly what I
Give
asked
off
for.
a green
and now I'm
aura.
thinking, like, did I
That's
just
so
secretly know
nice.
the entire
I have
time that I
green
didn't want to do
eyes.
this?
Well, I was
I
surprised.
think that could be part of it.
More than Alexa is. I was like, this
I
man
love
fucking
green eyes.
suddenly loved open ocean.
Why am I so fucking stupid?
Well, Alexa, I think you know nothing about sailing, so don't try to understand it.
Yeah.
Just let them. You're not going to magically solve all their sailing problems in like 5 minutes. Be like, wait, what if we tried this? It's just going to confuse you, and you're going to feel worse about it.
Well, I feel really bad now, so I think that's what's happened. The woman who's like one of the organizers did the Gaza flotilla, and she's like, yeah, you know, when we did that, it was like a 70% chance that we would die, you know, and we all knew that.
God.
This one, you know, is more chill, and I'm just like, I don't know, what do you, like, how much more chill? I like with people who seem like their risk tolerance is so high.
Like Dan.
Like Dan. Well, Dan's like, yeah, they seem really nice and cool.
Well, I think you need to remember.
Is he talking to
Alexa, that
Alex?
You are a YouTube content creator.
Yeah.
Think, what would Mr. Beast do?
Pay someone else to do it. Pay someone $1 million to do it with their hands tied behind their back.
Yeah, fuck, I forgot. I said that was meant to be helpful. I forgot he would do that.
Oh.
So, Alexa, I really gotta poo as well.
But that was my problem.
I know, but that's what I gotta do now as well.
Okay.
Alright, well, good luck. Let me know what you decide to do.
Okay, bye-bye. So the call obviously didn't help, and I immediately went back to being a fidgety little coward. I spent 2 minutes around legitimately selfless people who understand that their lives aren't more important than the lives of Palestinians and Cubans, and you know they're willing to put their money where their mouth is. And I was slowly realizing that I'm a bit of a phony, and I'm terrified. Like before I made any drastic decisions, I did decide to sleep on it, right? And honestly, a decent part of my panic could be attributed to the fact that I hadn't slept 50 hours, because the next day was absolutely beautiful. I mean, look, the boats weren't in the best condition. You know, the wood was rotten, the metal beams were snapped. You know, we were essentially stranded, waiting for the weather to get better. And the third boat that we were meant to be on hadn't even arrived in the port yet. I mean, we weren't even sure if it existed, but everyone was just trying their best to deal with all these problems. And I discovered that it's surprisingly easy to distract yourself from your imminent death when you're busy trying to fix up a boat. For the next few days, we'd spend the daytime fixing up the boats and spend the nights having, you know, little hoedowns. Honestly felt like I was living through the kind of thing that a middle-aged woman would fantasize about when, you know, her husband forgets her anniversary. You know, just a ship full of sexy young adventurers in South America, just surrounded by, like, you know, socially conscious, ripped guys who they stare deep into your eyes and promise to take you far away to feed starving people and make love under the stars. But still, for those few days, I was actually having a great time, right? Apart from when we sang all those sea shanties that, for some reason, they traditionally always focus on sailors dying horrible deaths on the ocean. But I did learn a lot about like boat maintenance, and I met a lot of cool people, which reminds me, I promised Jorge I'd plug his homemade chairs in this video, so if you're ever in Isla Mujeres and you need a really good chair, go find Jorge, he's got you covered. Anyway, as each day went past, I was getting a lot more comfortable, but more importantly, since a lot of these people had been on the previous flotilla to Gaza, like this guy playing the fiddle called Adnan, he let me know in detail what we were in for, and I was surprised. You know, I spent the lead up to this trip freaking out about getting bombed by the US, but it turns out it's also pretty fucked if they don't kill you, right? Even just getting intercepted by the military is still a horrifying experience.
Normally they intercept the boats with like their elite marine units, but there were so many boats, they didn't have enough of those elite forces, so they just called up like reservists, and you could see that they were like totally Like they didn't know how to drive the boat. Like they couldn't figure out, like they were throwing up, they were seasick. Like I mean, it's, you know, once you first see that green laser dot on your chest and you know that it's an 18-year-old who's been raised from birth to think that you're some kind of threat and subhuman, honestly, there's a pretty decent chance they'll pull the trigger.
Now, the interesting thing about Adnan is that, unlike everyone else who was sailing into the arms of the IDF, Adnan was simultaneously on a family vacation because he was on the boat with his younger brother as well.
They demanded the passport when they intercepted him, and he said, I want to speak to a lawyer.
Oh, yeah.
And they punched him in the face. And when they loaded him on the prison bus, like, there's cells on the bus, so like you're already locked up. And the 4 of the guys just jumped on him and just started hammering him.
Holy shit.
And they beat him until he fell to his knees and curled up in a fetal position, and they were kicking him. And I was there watching my brother get beat, and I couldn't do that.
What can you do?
It was tough, man. You know, finally, I think we got into our cell. It was like a relief to be in the cell. You're like, okay, we're going to be left alone at least for a little while now, you know.
But the relief didn't last long. Now, this is where the psychological warfare started.
We were like totally disoriented. I mean, we hadn't slept for 24 hours. We were just exhausted. Of course, I don't know what time it was in the morning. They undo the padlock. It's a big crossbar that they take off the door, so you hear the clunk, you know, of the metal. We were made to kneel down. Put our hands on our heads, and we didn't understand what was going on at all. So
The Gaza
got
flotilla is
dogs
crazy
as
too,
well,
like how
that they come
hateful
in, they're like
do you have
ready
to be to
release
intercept
on
an
you.
aid
They've got their
flotilla?
green sniper dots on your
It
chest.
makes no sense
Yeah, sometimes
to
they
me.
would just come in and count you.
And in a way,
And
I'm
it's
thankful
like,
that it makes no
you
sense
think
to me because
somebody slipped
if,
away?
if that makes sense to you, there's something wrong.
No, I
with
wanted
your
to move
brain.
to the next cell. I just tunneled through the wall. You know, I don't know. what the hell.
Can't imagine
So they
being
do
held
this
captive
weird
literally by
intimidation routine
Nazis
multiple times a
and then
night.
going
Like,
to
you never
where
know
you
when it's
could
coming, right? And it always ends
be
with
bombed
them
by another
counting
Nazi
you.
like
But
government.
one time,
Yeah,
he
these people
forgot
are so
how many
like.
people were in the cell afterwards.
I know we're
So
watching
they
this as like
came-
entertainment and education, but it's like these people are risking their lives and like we're just watching a video about it. You know what I mean? These people are doing these amazing things. And you know, and they're not like this isn't like they're not like famous or any, you know what I mean? It's just how many views does this have? 2 million views is not that much. Nowadays, that's not that much. Like, isn't that crazy? I don't know.
Came in like all like shock and awe. Lights
if I'm
on,
making
guns
sense.
out, dogs in, everything, count us, blah, blah, blah. And then he forgot. So after we were all like getting back in bed,
Have you talked to your friend
he came
in
back
Egypt
and like
recently?
meekly
No, I
poked
have
his head
not.
like, through the
I think
through
about
the
her.
bars of the
I
cage.
should
and
text
he's like-
her. I've been really bad with communicating with people.
And it was so funny to me, like, why don't you just do that in the first place?
Yeah.
Obviously, it's because you want to.
Yeah, brainwashing.
I mean, look, it's a horrifying
have been
experience,
raised
but
for
these
18
activists are
years
just
being told
constantly
that they
willing
are
to put their
threats.
lives on the line, like again and again for a good cause. And it makes sense why they do it, right? When you're fighting against the most powerful countries
we
in the
see
world
that
and you're
here
just a regular civilian,
with just
the flotillas are actually
you
a
know,
really clever tactic.
different
Like Cuba and Gaza, right? A group of
beliefs
people
and
are being
opinions
starved by military
in the
blockade, but the
States,
countries
you
that are
know?
doing it are put in an impossible position when the flotilla arrives, right?
just more
So either you let them through
cases.
and you look weak and it inspires more people to try and break your blockade, or you kill them or imprison them, in which case you look like a monster because now you're harming civilians from other countries, not just the brown people that you've so far been able to justify killing. For that reason, the
She's made
authorities
that
try
for
to
her
stop
life
the
and go to
flotilla at
policy. Yeah,
every step of the
she's-
way before you
She's
set
so
sail,
great.
which is actually quite
Last
easy
I heard
to
from
do
her,
in
she
the case
met
of Cuba,
like
because the country's
this
already
is a little off
sanctioned
topic,
shit,
but one of my
right?
friends
So if we
she moved to Egypt to help with like Palestinian children who had been like taken away from their families. And I know that it weighed on her, even if she won't say it, but that's what she was doing for a while. And last thing she told me was that she like met this guy there and he was like, oh God, what does he do? He was like a puppeteer or something. It sounded so crazy, just like the most random job. But yeah, I
want to
don't
get a boat for the
I should ask her
flotilla,
how she's
the
doing.
company that rents or sells it to us, and the insurance company that's covering the transaction and the voyage, they're immediately locked out of the
think they're
international banking
dating.
system
I don't know,
because
from what she
they're
last
now
told
doing
me.
business related to Cuba, right? And I don't know, no business is going to take that risk. So that's why our boats kind of suck, right? Like we either had to salvage like an old shit boat or pay a business an exorbitant amount of money to, make up for the fact that, their company will practically cease to exist after they do business with us. And we got a taste of that bureaucratic issue while we were fixing up these ships, and the ship that we were meant to be on never arrived. Right? It turns out all this pressure from the US and their sanctions meant that our boat was being held up all the way over here in Progreso, 300 kilometers in the wrong direction. So Dan and I had to get a last-minute bus across Yucatan and gear up for a much longer sea voyage, if we were actually going to be allowed to set sail at all. Which is a pretty annoying situation to be in, but it was only exacerbated by the fact that the Mexican bus company chose the worst possible movies to play.
There are so many movies in the world. Why did the Mexican bus have to play the one of everyone dying at sea? What the fuck is this? I hate this. Also, these boats are so much better.
See, that would not help my
And if
anxiety.
that wasn't spooky enough, we got another call from Alex to scare us even more.
Trump's comments this morning where Trump was just saying, yeah, I can take it.
I do believe I'll be having the honor of making Cuba. I think I can do anything I want with it. You want to know the truth? They're a very weakened nation.
Oh, I fucking hate it. It actually changes the way I look at Twitter now because everything I read scares the crap out of me. Like, hearing just like everyone's opinions on this thing is so upsetting. I'm just like, just shut up. Just don't talk about it. Just leave me alone. Like.
But we finally arrived to Progreso Harbour and it was time to see our boat.
I have not seen our boat. I've heard some horrible things about it, but I haven't seen it.
What's the best case scenario?
I don't know. Well, that's the thing. I don't even know what a good boat looks like.
What are you looking for here?
I want to see a local walk past and go, good boat.
But we finally arrived to Progreso Harbour and it was time to see our boat. The only problem is no one from the flotilla was here yet, so we're just a couple of gringos in a fishing town trying to work out which boat is ours.
I'm really hoping it's that luxury yacht with the American flag on it.
Look at that thing, hey?
All I could really tell was that these were definitely 100% fishing boats.
Oh yeah, you smell that.
Yeah, that's pretty potent. I guess we're
They
on.
said blue and white, which is...
That could be one of them.
Oh fuck, is that one wooden?
Yeah.
We got the one wooden one.
After a little while, the other activists showed up and we were about to get our first glimpse of the boat.
But they told me it was the biggest one. And you can see it there, just sticking out of the top. Big is good, I think. Bigger the boat,
Yeah,
better
right.
the boat.
Right.
Think about it, Titanic. You know, big.
How are you going to get to it? You got to sail over to our boat.
Okay, we go, but yeah, boat to boat.
I think it's had a fresh coat of paint too.
You can smell the fresh paint.
Yeah.
Like everyone has to take care of.
Don't worry, that'll be me.
Yes, I'm super excited.
¿Cómo están? Bien.
Improved from yesterday.
Oh really? I like the smell of the paint. It's really overpowering the smell of the fish. Put like a fresh coat of paint on a fishing boat. You don't know what the actual offensive smell is, you know? It's good.
One example of a big safe boat. Why would you choose Titanic?
The aid hadn't
I
arrived
think
yet,
that's
so
the
we were
joke.
getting busy, cleaning up and washing the boat, and I thought I was doing a pretty good job and, making myself useful, but I'd barely been on the boat for 15 minutes, and I managed to secure my position as the most useless crew member. Now, pay attention to this rusty metal shaft that goes down 2 meters into the engine room. Even though I'm filming it right now, in about 3 minutes, I'm about to forget all about it and walk into the boat with my head held high and just plummet straight down that hole.
I heard the sound and everybody yell out and said, that's definitely Alexis falling down the hole. There's like 30 people here. What happened, Alexa?
I walked straight through the hole.
You gotta watch out for that. Oh man. You gotta be careful. You get really hurt doing that. Yeah, careful. Oh man. Those long legs of yours. Could you just like split your head open?
Yeah, that's crazy. That should not have happened.
While we're in this fishing village, watching all these fishermen trying to help us reverse park our fishing boat, something dawned on me.
I've been shitting myself for a week about the US bombing all those fishing boats. I didn't realize we're like exactly on a fishing boat. Like this is the worst kind of boat for it, isn't it?
This is where the tuna go.
Yeah, there's a little
Hi,
fish
Lizzie.
hatch.
What I also didn't take into account is that the fishermen
The
here
little
all around
plant
us
that I'm gonna
live
give
with
to
the
my
constant fear
coworker.
of getting bombed every time they set sail to do their jobs.
I'm crocheting and adding beads to these, and it's gonna be like a hanging succulent out of beads and crochet yarn.
¿Y qué piensan ustedes de esa flotilla?
De esta ayuda muy bueno, muy bonito.
Sí.
La verdad. Ojalá lleguen. Ojalá y porque pues he escuchado en noticieros y todo que todo les quitan. No llega esa ayuda humanitaria. Ya han enviado muchos países. Lo ves a los pobres como los tienen.
It was actually horrifying thinking that these people risk getting blown up just for doing their jobs. And, you know, I felt awful until the fisherman started flexing on us about like how much better his boat was than our boat. And then, I don't know, I felt kind of neutral about it after that.
Sí, no sabemos dónde dormir. Hay como 10 para 25. Wow, todo madera, Sí. Así es, muy bonito. Estamos como ustedes. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we had to end our tour of this guy's much more comfortable and sturdier boat because our aid truck started coming in and it was time to somehow get 30 tons of food and medicine onto this boat.
Why am I getting emotional?
Now, we didn't just have
Why am
3 big
I
trucks, but
getting
also a bunch of like nice everyday people heard what was going on and drove up and brought their own donations. It was really beautiful. You know, it was a lot of work, but the energy was great. Everyone was singing the whole time. So even when you're on your 50th sack of beans and, you know, it rips apart and you spill beans everywhere, you need to like tape it up and fix it, you still feel great. It had been hours and hours of hot work, and I was slowly starting to realize how much 30 tons actually is, right? Like, especially when you're down in the hull, loading an endless stream of sacks and boxes.
It's really warm down there. Yeah.
Been down below.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Just this thick smell of diesel.
Yeah.
Hot
Working.
boxes. Is this another? Is one of the?
Yeah, there's 2 more to go.
Is this the same truck?
Same one.
Oh,
yeah.
fuck.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Let's
stuff.
go have a smoke.
But we just kept going, right? Loading bicycles and solar panels and everything that would fit on this boat. It got to 3 a.m. and it looked like we were maybe getting close to finishing
until
the Mexican Navy heard what was going on and they made us stop so they could check through all the things we were loading to make sure everything was up to code.
Really good.
Which led to hours of negotiations, right? When they clocked that we had filled this little boat with like 30 tons of aid and there were only 10 beds, they insisted that we only had capacity for 10 people and that more than half of us wouldn't be able to make the trip, which is, you know, a rough thing to hear after weeks of preparation, but eventually they caved and let us go. I mean, until the sun came up the next morning and they returned to address even more regulatory issues and safety concerns. But at least there's one major safety concern that we don't need to worry about because we addressed it within the first 15 minutes of seeing the boat.
Right, they painted that white border around it because of me. I'm integral to the ship's safety. If it wasn't for me, they wouldn't have painted that thing there.
Safety officer.
Yeah. I just go out, walk through places, get hurt, and then we know what the dangerous things are.
But it was all squared away now, and we had officially gotten our passport stamped by the customs officer. So
It might be scary, but I'm not a monster.
There's no turning back now, and I am terrified.
That's it.
There we go.
Well, if we don't go now, then we're going to be illegal in Mexico. Oh, you learn something new about yourself all the time.
What are you learning?
I realize that when I'm actually scared, I need a poo.
You're like an octopus.
I don't understand. I thought it was like a turn of phrase, like shitting myself.
No. Well, there you go.
I can't stop pooping.
This is a journey of self-discovery.
I don't want to know that. It's so inconvenient. Imagine if I have to do something important in the future.
Yeah.
This is like the polar opposite of Vines. No, we don't watch Vines. We should though. Maybe you can start sending them in the Discord, so we'll have some locked and loaded. I don't know if we'll get to them today.
I'm shitting. I'm not there.
We probably won't. But if you have any like Vine compilations or specific
better the devil we
Vines,
know, hey?
please send them because I do want to see them. We can do a whole video about it, a whole stream about it.
Well, there you go. I'm stuck on the boat now, and whatever
Try
happens,
joining the
happens.
Discord through the
So I
link in
guess
the
now's
chat,
a good
but it
time to
didn't
find out
work.
what the actual chances are I'll get blown up out here. Now, you might think the US is blowing up narco traffickers in the Caribbean, or you might think they're just
Weird.
killing random fishermen, and that depends a lot
me
on
a
what
second.
kind of media you consume. Now, if you're watching this from a boat in the Caribbean and you want to work out if a missile is heading your way, you could read through like every single news article ever written and sift through the bias to find out if you're being targeted. But
One moment,
time is of the
please.
essence in this scenario. So thankfully, today's sponsor, Ground News, has you covered. Ground News is a website and app designed to
Ground
sift through political
News.
bias and make the news
Ground
more
News.
transparent. So let's say I want to look up the US bombing boats in the Caribbean. You can see that 244 sources reported on this, with 28% of them leaning left and 19% leaning right. You can also see how reliable these sources are and who owns them. And if you click on one of the left-wing articles, they'll say that an overwhelming consensus of experts call it a crime against humanity and highlight the fact that the relatives claim the victims are just fishermen. But on the right, they'll report that the victims are narco-terrorists and console you that not a single drone operator was harmed when they pressed the kill button. My favourite part of the app is the blind spot feature, which shows you stories only reported by one side of the political spectrum. Without this feature, I'd have no idea that consumers of right-wing media receive nationwide updates when a random transgender teenager wins a race at a local Californian sporting event. As you know, I comb through thousands of sources to make these videos, and Ground News is the perfect tool to simplify this process and keep me informed. And you could be as well informed as me, right? You just need to subscribe today. So go to ground.news/boyboy, click the link in the video description or use the QR code to get 40% off the unlimited access Vantage plan, the same one I'm using. So subscribe today and stay informed. Okay, now back to the video. Everyone was so excited to finally set sail, and for some reason, as soon as the boat left, I wasn't that scared anymore. It's kind of like the possibility of going home kept me in a state of panic, and now that I knew I had no choice, my mind just tried to shut off all the unhelpful negative stuff.
I was pooping my pants out of fear like half an hour ago. And now I feel like I've never pooed before in my life. It's perfect. I feel really, really good.
Quietly confident, eh?
Yeah, I reckon. I'm not the kind of person that dies. No,
Never.
Hasn't happened before.
What do you reckon is sailing life for you?
For now, in the harbour, the 5 minutes of sailing we've done, I reckon I could do this the rest of my life.
Right?
Now, I knew we had a bunch of activists and journalists on board from around the world, but I felt a bit out of place seeing the caliber of journalism on this boat.
I should have brought a suit.
Yeah, you'd be much more legitimate.
That's fucking awesome. Is he gonna wear it the whole time?
But as we left the harbour, it got harder and harder to hold the camera straight,
but him
and
going
eventually
through
it
his
got hard to
emotional
just stand
response
straight.
to this
And I
is
realise
super
now that I'm
interesting
editing
from,
it,
like, a
it's surprisingly
psychological
hard to capture
perspective.
how unstable the boat was on camera.
do you mean?
Because the cameraman is essentially being a human gimbal. Like here's an example. If you do this to a chicken, notice how its head always stays upright. That was us when we were filming, right? You're watching this video through the chicken's head, and everything looks much, much better from the perspective of the chicken.
It's hard to walk around, man.
No few legs.
Yeah. Are we gonna get used to it? I don't know.
I got less scared. Yeah, it is nice to hear his
Apparently this is the easy bit.
No.
Yeah. I think
his
the way we're gonna get
commentary
fucked.
through all of this.
At this point, I realised there was
from
something
fear
I needed to do that I
and
should have
sharing his
done
life.
while the boat was
Exactly.
stationary.
Gotta put this on top of the boat.
You're gonna fall off.
I can barely walk down here. There we go.
I was pretty scared of flying overboard when I went to set up this satellite on the roof, but now that I'm editing the video, I'm actually much more scared about the fact that my dick was hanging out of my pants the entire time. Going through the footage is so bad because there's just like so many clips of just my balls on the screen. And before we set sail, we got all our luggage, and we ratcheted it up like down in the hull so it wouldn't fly around everywhere. But that meant that all I could really wear was what I had on, and it was really stupid. So if anyone on the flotilla was watching this, I'm so sorry you had to stare at my balls for like an entire week. Like I actually had no idea that they were just hanging out the whole time. And
I think it's important
I don't know,
commentary
getting
though, because
seasick and
what
worried about
often
getting
gets ignored
bombed
in
is
news
bad enough
articles
without having to
about
stare
this
at my
type of
balls
action is the human
all
perspective.
week. So
Exactly.
I'm really sorry.
Like
but
I'm
back to
watching
the
this and
satellite.
I'm thinking,
I got up on the roof and the waves were pretty nuts.
they're so brave. They're so brave to do this. Okay, yeah, they're brave, but they're also fucking terrified. It wouldn't be normal if they wouldn't be normal if they weren't scared. Like obviously what they're doing is terrifying. So the fact that they're openly saying, "Hey, I'm doing this. I'm doing it scared." Like it's really admirable.
Like, I try to keep my body, close to the ground, but
and they're not pretending to be like,
wasn't
"Oh
particularly
yeah,
stable either.
I do this all the time. It's so chill." Like it's not.
Very slippery. If we get intercepted by the US Navy, if I can get internet on this ship,
I'm already sweating again.
then I can back everything up. And then they take us, they imprison us, whatever. But the footage, what you're watching right now, is going to be on the internet. All because of what we're doing right now.
Okay.
So if you're watching this, if you can see this video, it means the internet worked and we got it through. If you're not watching this, it means it didn't work.
But I had no choice, right? You slowly get used to the movement of the boat and you learn to stay low, and we set the internet up in no time, and I could get back to work backing up our footage.
What are you doing?
Backing everything up, making sure it's everywhere. This one
So where's that going?
My ass.
Okay.
Look how small it is.
Oh, it's teeny tiny.
Straight in my ass.
Do I notice a thing?
This one. On the front, in my penis. Got all these different options.
Oh, right, yeah. For your satisfaction.
I can have a good trip.
Now, the next challenge of the day, which is actually quite linked to me being scared on the roof, is needing to use this thing. Now, since the boat is constantly rocking back and forth, you need to secure the door while you're hovering over this seatless toilet. And if you're a socially minded person, you're probably going to want to flush when you're done. So you have to get this bucket and lower it over the side of the boat and fill it up with seawater before you even go in. Now, I used this toilet exactly once, like only on the first day. It was actually impossible to stay still, right? You're squatting over this thing, shaking back and forth, you're shitting everywhere. And it took me like 20 minutes to just clean up the mess that I made. And at that point, I made a vow that I just wouldn't poo ever again. And I just go mind over matter and just like hold it in for the next week. And it's not even about the sheer difficulty of like pooping. It's also the fact that you're just in this like stinky, confined plywood box, and it just makes you seasick immediately. So, you know, feeling constipated is way better than that. But it also became increasingly difficult to be inside the boat at all, because it turns out the Alex of Woolwich Memorial shaft was left constantly open to stop the engine room from overheating, which meant that the kitchen and the bunk beds were just dense with this like noxious diesel fume. So when the sun started going down, most people tried to find some space to sleep on the floor outside, which was harder than we originally thought, because, you know, we loaded multiple pallets of solar panels on the deck, so it wasn't a lot of space for sleeping. If you're lucky, you'd get a hold of one of the few gym mats that were lying around and, you know, find a spare spot, or you'd make really good friends with someone who managed to secure a spot themselves. Now, it got surprisingly cold at night on the high seas, which is something I didn't know about, and I didn't really plan for, since, you know, all our luggage was in the hull. So I was just stuck in short shorts, and apparently with my dick hanging out, so I was very cold. Now, there was obviously a lot of water lapping up onto the deck, and any smart person would have quickly claimed, you know, the few dry spots on the ground, but I'm an idiot, and instead I focused on doing this. At this point, it was getting really cold and all the good sleeping spots had been taken, but I managed to get creative and realized I could sleep on the edge of this wooden pallet if I just kind of squeezed myself under the ropes that were holding the stack of solar panels in place. And after a night of sliding back and forth and like constantly waking up to my head hitting the edge of the boat, you know, the sun was shining, and it was our turn to cook for everyone, and I love cooking. Honestly, I felt pretty great. For a couple of minutes.
I fear that would be me. I fear that would be me.
It turns out what I was tasting in that moment was stomach bile, and I'd completely emptied my insides. Now, it had been about 24 hours on the boat at this point, and I somehow convinced myself that I had some kind of like genetic immunity to seasickness, but I mean, obviously I was wrong. Either that or like the stress of the trip had cultivated some kind of reverse bulimia where I had to vomit everything out before I could eat a meal.
So hungry, I vomited everything.
Just in time, hey?
But I couldn't keep eating
I
food
get
yet.
like motion
Once
sick.
the seasickness set in,
Like
it
on
was
some
actually
rides and
horrible.
stuff.
Like it was so bad.
I think I'd be the same on a
like,
boat.
It felt like you were hungover and like super
Taking a lot
dizzy,
of
but you're
privates
also
and
forced to
health
be on
stuff.
like this 600
So I
kilometer
was
long
like 2
roller
weeks
coaster.
ago.
And it's not like one of those cool roller coasters where you get to have fun and kiss. It's like a roller coaster where you also have to do chores the whole time. Like even just getting a cup of water is so hard. Like you have to, it involves like tightrope walking and like washing dishes and
I'm glad
squats.
you're out of the hospital.
It was actually fucked. Like I was just counting down the 72 hours until we landed, just praying it would all stop. And I guess my wish kind of came true, because it was that moment that the engine died. It turns out it was probably a faulty alternator. So everyone was scrambling for solutions, right? Like some people were trying to jerry-rig one of the solar batteries that we were taking to Cuba, while other people tried to set up an old generator to power the battery. And I was trying to address the issue by just continuously vomiting over the edge of the boat, but none of that fixed the alternator. So we were all out of ideas. We were just stuck there, you know, just floating aimlessly in the middle of the ocean for hours and not getting any closer to Cuba. But it was kind of nice. I mean, without the deafening noise of the engine, it was a little bit easier to just lie perfectly still and ignore the seasickness. You know, I kind of feel like I reached a level of zen in that moment, because I didn't realize at all that we were about to be boarded by the military. I woke up, tried to work out what was happening, but everyone I spoke to was confused. I went to my laptop and realized that my very special strategy of uploading everything online was a complete failure. I had like half a terabyte of footage and literally none of it was uploaded. I should have guessed by the fact that it took about an hour to just like check the news every day. But yeah, my footage wasn't backed up anywhere. And obviously you are watching the footage right now, so I guess I managed to save it somehow. But in the moment, I thought it was game over. So for the sake of immersion, I need you to pretend that you're not watching this video right now. You're thinking about this happening.
Hope it's one of the nice Navy ships.
What do you reckon? It'll look friendly?
I think it's smiling.
I don't understand what's happening. There's like a shark. He came from that side. Now he's coming around there, and it looks like he's going to turn around this way as well. Just circling us until we get hungry and beg for mercy. Thankfully, it was a false alarm. It turns out the captain had sent out a distress signal when the motor broke, and since we were in Mexican waters, a Mexican Navy ship came by to help us out, and after an hour or so, the engine was back on. Now, this would have been a relief because it meant we were back on track to arrive in Cuba in 3 days, but I had a chat with one of the Mexican Navy guys, and he said something completely different. The Navy man just said if we need 5 days to get to Cuba, and our crew says we need 3. And we have like half a alternator. So it might be 3 days, but it also might be 5, and also it might be even longer depending on how many times we break down and whether we can fix the problem at all. And the entire time I'll either be vomiting or worrying about dying or going to jail. Like, I kind of felt like I was in hell.
Oh my gosh.
The day before interception came, the boat I was on Sumut Flotilla broke 4 times.
Yarn, I'm so glad you're doing at least a little bit better.
It would be a noise like beep.
Okay, I'm actually doing really good now. Yay! I'm happy to hear that.
But it's something like you kind of get used to, and if you want the mission to keep on moving, you just gotta take a light mood and work with it, make it work again. That's it.
But look, whatever I'd been doing for the whole trip obviously wasn't working, so I thought, I might try this like weird new South American thing called being happy. I got to tell you, man, this new strategy was working out surprisingly well until nighttime, because it was my turn on the roster to stay up and stand guard as the night watchman. You see, on the Gaza flotilla, they'd get attacked by drones at night, dropping bombs, starting fires, or even spraying weird, like harsh chemicals. It was up to me to wake everyone up if we were being attacked. But here's the problem, right? You look at this light in the sky, and you tell me whether that's a star or a passenger plane or a drone about to bomb us. Like, the sky is full of these things, and there's no decision that I can make here that isn't incredibly embarrassing, right? Either I'm the idiot who woke everyone up because he saw a star, or I'm the idiot who didn't warn everyone that we were about to get bombed. It was kind of shit either way, but I guess maybe it didn't matter. Like, I realize if I do get hit by a drone strike, I won't even know what happens. I'll just be gone. It kind of made me wonder if any of the fishermen over the past year have been in this exact same spot, thinking the exact same thing, like thinking they might be seconds away from being hit. They're thinking about their family and all the things they've done in their life, and just, praying that God will accept them into the crystal clear waters and sunny skies of fisherman's heaven. Like, it's funny to look back at it now, but I honestly thought I was gonna die and end up here. Like, it's fucking crazy. Like, this video was such a massive risk. Like, not just for my own life, which, I'm very attached to, but even just the fact that, chances are we'd get intercepted and I wouldn't even have any of this footage at the end anyway. And the only way I can actually take these risks is thanks to our supporters on our Patreon. Thanks to you guys, I can take these bigger risks and make more important videos, right? And because I know the community is going to have my back if anything goes wrong. And outside of that, this is by far the most expensive video I've ever filmed. It costs a stupid amount of money to pull this off. So if you want to help us out with future videos like this, jump on the link in the description, and just for $5 a month, you can get a full-length exclusive video every month. Even if you hate me, it's worth $5 a month just to convince me to, keep trying to kill myself. So it's a win-win for everyone. Like, you should just do it. Now, the rest of the days on the boat were all jiggled together into one long haze. The sun comes up, it's on one side of the boat, and then a little while later it comes down and it's on the other. You wake up sleeping on a pile of ropes, wearing the same clothes you wore for the past 3 days. You try to distract yourself from the fear by, filling up your day reading, playing Uno. The boat keeps rocking. Your mate Claudio, the 80-year-old Italian journalist, burns himself on the chimney, so you have to make a warning sign. You cook, you eat, you sing. You You try to work out if that new ship on the horizon is going to board you. You wash yourself with a dangly exhaust hose that cools the engine. And then you're told we'll be arriving in Cuba tomorrow
I'm so
morning.
proud of you.
The sun goes down on one side of the boat.
Keep doing that. Keep up the hard work. Oh, that's
comes
so
up on the
great.
other, and you wake up on a soggy gym mat in the same clothes you've been wearing for 4 days. And then you're told you're arriving in Cuba tomorrow morning. And the same thing happens the next morning. I honestly started to think maybe we had already been drone struck and we didn't even realize it, right? We were now in purgatory and this was just our life for all eternity. Then one night, a bunch of tiny islands pop up on the radar, and in the morning, they pop up on the actual horizon. But you know, I've been in purgatory for days, so I don't fully believe my eyes.
According to this, not in Cuba yet. No land. I don't trust it. I think the Americans are going to intercept us.
Some kind of hologram.
It's too exciting. Don't sail towards it. It's a trap.
We decided to climb up on the roof and make sure these Cuban mountains were real.
You know what this place needs?
What?
A KFC. A KFC and some Trump towers.
Yeah, I think an Amazon fulfillment center would be nice.
Big AI data center.
I look at that and I see unrealized, potential.
I see potential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seeing land is so special to me because it means I get to poo. A bed, a shower, ground that doesn't move. Although I had an earthquake like a few days ago. That one's not so sure. But bed and shower and toilet definitely gonna happen.
It turns out nothing was definitely going to happen because we just got news that a US ship had just moved to the outskirts of Havana.
You heard about the US ship outside of Havana?
Yeah, I'm telling you, if those Americans stop us, I will lose my mind. They could have stopped us at any point in this trip. They could have stopped us before we all threw up. They could have stopped us before we all spent 3 days in our own sweat and piss.
Sleeping outside on a wet floor.
But it turns out Cuba is a really, really long country. So that US ship in Havana will have to wait while we just sail along the coast for another 2 days. Until one night at 3 a.m., we saw some lights. It was so weird looking at Havana, after staring at the sea for days. It dawned on me that we were actually going to make it now, which was a relief, but it was also incredibly sad because Havana's enormous, right? Looking at the size of this city spanning the entire coastline up to the horizon, I couldn't help but be terrified by the concept that there are millions of people in there that are living without the basic necessities of life. Well, I guess
it's going to be a hanging succulent from my coworker friend.
This Coast Guard was the first Cuban I spoke to.
That I'm now learning how to play, and she really likes plants.
I'd been to Cuba before, and when I told him I came 14 years ago, he immediately told me I probably have a 13-year-old kid here. And I was honestly a little bit embarrassed to know that my kid's first impression of me will be this, a guy that looks like absolute shit. But whatever, we made it back to experience this brutal communist dictatorship once again.
They have a giant statue of Jesus.
Well, maybe it's all going to be okay after all.
Yeah.
We need to look
I'll take
for the
pictures
things we
when
have
I'm
in
done.
common.
Yeah, we all love Jesus. There's a lot of people there.
You had your doubts, hey?
Yeah, I was so sure I was getting on a boat to nowhere. Oh, what a horrible thought. Just lying there the first time, be like, I'm gonna die. Oh, llegamos.
I was so excited to finally end the seasickness, but no one told me about the land sickness.
I was so fucking dizzy, man.
It's wobbly land. This is what happens with a destabilized country.
I was so disorientated and thirsty and confused, but one thing I knew for sure is that these Cuban delegates were about to shake hands with the stinkiest people they've ever met.
Gracias por invitarnos.
Right back at you, Yarn.
Off the boat,
We'll happily have you anytime you're feeling up for
Yeah, I am. It's like a different sense
but
of
keep taking care of yourself.
But
so
just like 10 seconds
right.
ago, I was like, oh, this is normal. As soon as I get on land, I'm like,
Part of the marine
I'm covered in
ecosystem.
gel. I'm like a fucking slug.
I feel more like a shell.
Oh, yours is crispy?
Yeah, mine's
wet.
dried off.
You gotta
I'm
stink so bad. I didn't even think about
Crazy
that.
how much your mind ignores when you're on the boat. I get on land, I need a shit so bad. Like my whole body's just
Straight up booty.
my body hates me right now.
But it turns out we'd have to wait a few more
Booty
hours
and
before we
poo.
could do any of that because all these people had come down at sunrise to welcome us. do I get to do a poo? I need to do a poo. Now, I didn't realize at this point, but we also needed to unload the 30 tons we'd loaded up in Mexico before we could get any relief. But it was done, and we finally checked into our hotel room. We were staying at Hotel Presidente, one of the many kind of affordable state-run hotels in Havana. Now, the special thing about this place is that the US government won't let you stay here if you're a US citizen. You have to go to a private hotel, or else you could face up to a penalty of 10 years in prison and $1 million fine. But I'm Aussie, so I don't have to worry about that. All I need to worry about now is having a shit and a shower. And even though the energy crisis meant that there was no hot water and occasionally there was no water at all, it was still 1,000,000 times better than the boat, and I felt relaxed for like the first time in a week, until I checked my phone.
You know what the Pentagon's new operation for Latin America is called? Operation Total Extermination.
What the fuck?
Operation Doing What the Devil Says. Why would you call it that?
Totally, it's not very diplomatic.
Makes it a little bit scared being here. I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Total extermination, but I'm here.
It's just so lame, hey? It's just so obviously just a computer game playing kid.
Yeah.
That's suddenly too much power, you know?
But if I thought the news on my phone was bad, it was even worse on Dan's phone when he tried to access his bank account.
You're blocked from online services because you're in a sanctioned country or region. And then I'm like, oh, well, like I need to buy a sandwich. See details. We are obliged to manage our international sanctions risk, so you cannot buy a sandwich.
That's so nice that a random fucking Australian bank will just like get rid of your account.
Yeah.
If you do anything.
You cannot do
You
anything.
can only stay in these
And
specific
then I'm like, okay,
hotels
cool.
in a
Well, I'll
country
go
you're
and
going
get
to.
a VPN
yeah.
thing. And then look, like I try to download this one. The App Store is unavailable in the country.
Oh, you got fucked.
Yeah, I can't even VPN. All I want is a sandwich. I'm sanctioned.
That sucks for you, dude.
Why don't you spot me something? Come on.
I got my VPN on time.
Come on,
Yeah.
just a little bit.
You gotta look
You're
at it.
complicit in this.
Cuba's a communist country. That's why things are so bad right now. I'm gonna learn from Cuba's mistakes.
You're just sanctioning me as
No,
well.
you know what? I think the value of money to you is actually so much more than it is to me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna loan you the money. If you want $5 now, you have to give me $50 in a month.
Right. It's like a World Bank loan.
Yeah. You have to change. You have to restructure some of this stuff.
A little bit of changes. I'd like you to organize your wallet.
Yeah.
A little bit of financial management.
Now, to be fair, even if Dan was allowed to access his bank account, pretty much all the ATMs are down because of the energy shortages. So since I'm the guy who, took out money before the trip and, I need Dan to hold the camera and not be dead, I decided I won't let him starve for now. But anyway, the rest time was over and we had to find our way to the hospital to hand off all the aid that we brought. So the problem was that the hospital was like 10 kilometers away and it's incredibly difficult to get a taxi with barely any fuel in the country. But luckily, with the help of a world famous soccer player called Xi Jinping, Cuba set up a factory just outside of Havana pumping out thousands of these electric tuk-tuks, in response to the US cutting off all fuel from the country. It was pretty strange getting our first actual glimpse of Cuba. The streets were so empty compared to 14 years ago, and because the fuel blockade made driving nearly impossible, you had to go for all these weaker vehicles that used renewable energy, like, these 2 horsepower tuk-tuks or this 1 horsepower horse. But we finally arrived to this children's hospital that specializes in cardiovascular care, and it honestly felt surreal seeing all this aid reach its destination. And something tells me the nurses couldn't believe it either. For the past couple of months, all I could think about was this flotilla, but somehow the only thing I actually thought about was the flotilla as a political stunt, right? Getting on the boat and exposing to the world that the US is killing people through their blockade of Cuba, and hopefully, inspiring people and governments around the world to take action. But I didn't actually think about the real people that are going to receive the aid that we're bringing. Like, there are children in this hospital whose lives are going to be dramatically affected by this, 30 tons of food, medicine, and solar panels that we filled our little boat with. And honestly, I hadn't thought about the real world impact of that.
Es algo maravilloso. Nos hacía falta. Ay Dios. Ahora yo lo vengo sabiendo desde antes se lo anunciaron y me despertó ahí.
Gracias a ustedes por venir. Ustedes están haciendo una cosa. Miren, no es solo lo que ustedes aporten. Están arriesgándose, vienen aquí a que después lleguen allá y lo puedan crear problemas, lo quieran meter. Eso es una cosa que no tiene precio. Agradecerles a ustedes lo que están haciendo y nos da un estímulo para seguir, que ustedes no se pueden imaginar.
It was actually so nice seeing where all our aid was going, but It felt like a drop in the water. The hospital was running out of everything from like medications to medical machines to simple things like gauze and bandages.
En un hospital del país, en donde podamos hablar cualquier país, hacen un reporte o dicen se rompió este equipo y no obstante viene el privado, dice bueno esta pieza cuesta tanto y al momento se lo ponen. En el caso de nosotros no es tan así. Nosotros tenemos que hacer una contratación, ver si no nos está prohibido vendernos al país por el tema del bloqueo. Entonces se encarece todo y se demora mucho más que en cualquier mundo por esta situación. Aquí hacemos cirugías abiertas, en este caso, donde necesitan muchos recursos desgastables. Estoy seguro que si no tuviéramos ese bloqueo fuera lo más rápido posible.
Tenemos dinero a veces en los bancos y no podemos utilizarlo porque hay bancos en algunos países que no aceptan transacciones con Cuba.
But lacking supplies and equipment is just like one of the many issues that they have to deal with here.
Simplemente el hecho de no tener combustible para poder bombear agua en una ciudad y tener abastecimiento de agua en un hospital, y sabemos lo que implica eso, es un gran problema de salud, de higiene.
Hay que estar muy atentos al uso de combustible. Por ejemplo, hay un área que no es posible que esté encendida, que es la parte de las consultas y demás, porque el combustible hay que ahorrarlo para la forma general, porque tenemos una terapia intensiva donde hay pacientes gravemente por su estado crítico y es necesario que se mantenga el hospital funcionando para la atención de estos pacientes.
La asfixia del bloqueo no solamente impacta de esa manera, impacta en el personal propiamente que trabaja, personal que viene a trabajar con miles de problemas, dejándolos atrás, dificultades inmensas, que vienen y que lo hacen a conciencia porque en gran medida lo que les remunera en estos momentos su trabajo no es suficiente dado la crisis que hay para poder garantizar todo lo que necesitan y también va siendo escaso. Realmente se trabaja como si estuviéramos un país en guerra pero sin bombas.
Ella es de provincia y entonces se va muy lejos y el transporte está difícil, a veces no hay combustible para que se traslade ese paciente.
After seeing it in person, I really don't understand how anyone's surviving here. I mean, the blackouts mean that the doctors have to operate the respirators by hand throughout the night. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I can't actually see how they're going to keep this going over the next few days, like, let alone months or years. But the wild part is, even in the middle of this crisis, Cuba's still dedicated to making life-saving care available to everyone.
El eco que le han hecho, todos los exámenes, aquí ni un peso tenían que pagar, todo es gratis.
It's crazy.
Y la atención de las doctoras, ¿para qué? Que compensa el mal rato que uno está pasando por la situación de los niños.
I mean, the fact that they still managed to keep healthcare free during this humanitarian crisis made me feel a little bit hopeful, right? Until I stepped outside and got a taste of reality.
Crazy, bro.
It turned out that one of the members of our flotilla, Tiago, had been arrested while flying home on his connecting flight in Panama.
I think the interrogation is so funny when, like, the entire thing is broadcast almost live, you know? Like, what were you doing? It's like, well, it's documented the entire time. Yeah.
Right after that, we heard that the other two boats from earlier in the video were meant to arrive today, but they had completely vanished on the high seas.
Just on the phone with the Mexican authorities, they're launching like a search and rescue thing because no one knows where the two sailboats went.
Holy shit.
So they are trying to find them.
But is there a worry that something happened?
We just don't know.
It might just be taking
don't know.
But there was literally nothing we could do about either of those things, but, you know, sit and be scared. So we decided to walk around the hospital and we bumped into this nice Swiss man, Franco Cabal. He happens to be one of the best oncologists in the world. Like this man wrote the textbook on medical oncology. No, it was him. I checked. He's the guy who wrote it. As a world-renowned oncologist, he's particularly upset that Cuba is, blocked off from accessing vital cancer medications that he helped create, right? So he spends much of his free time visiting Cuba and trying to help, but he struggles to find any European company that dares to do business with Cuba because they're so scared of the Americans.
Actinomycin is an important drug in the treatment of many cancers in children. Cuba was buying that in the past. There were worldwide 3 companies producing that. 2 of the companies were bought by the third one, which is an American company. So for years, children with cancer in Cuba didn't have that drug because the US company didn't sell that. So that's one example, but there are very many.
But it's not just humanitarian doctors like Franco that visit Cuba. Apparently, Western big pharma CEOs are coming here too.
They were a little bit interested because Cuba has an important research part.
Yeah.
And they have developed also a couple of interesting drugs, which were then bought by Western companies. I know from a very important CEO of a very important pharmaceutical company who came incognito to Cuba. Nobody was allowed to tell that he was going to see what they are searching for.
So I'm standing there on the street talking to a world-renowned cancer researcher, and he's telling me that, you know, big pharma executives are entering Cuba secretly to like collaborate on research projects without the US government knowing. But it's all just kind of like difficult to believe, right? How does a Caribbean country, you know, it's blocked off from trading with the world, how do they become a biomedical powerhouse making insane discoveries like, you know, the world's only meningococcal B vaccine and luring big pharma execs with these breakthroughs? And, you know, all the other Caribbean countries, they're still stuck researching who that guy was who let the dogs out. It just doesn't make sense. So the next day, we decided to visit the Neuroscience Institute to see how it's possible that Cuba's pumping out all these medical breakthroughs under siege. Now, this institute was on the other side of town, so we were facing the same problem we'd face multiple times a day in Cuba, finding transportation. Now, after being on land for so long, I was honestly missing the diesel fumes of the boat engine, so I decided to splurge and get a real petrol taxi to take us to the institute. And we're going there with our mate Daniel. He's a Cuban journalist working for the independent media outlet Belly of the Beast. They do awesome documentaries and on-the-ground reporting in a place that's always like so saturated with fake news from mainstream media, so you can check him out in the video description. Now, Daniel joined our project as a producer, which is, you know, a stressful job at the best of times, but he was also doing it under the constant threat of being bombed by a foreign country.
Realizing that your future, the future of those around you, ends up depending on, you know, individual decisions of people that, in all honesty, couldn't give two shits about any of you.
Yeah.
It's daunting.
Yeah, sounds terrifying.
The idea of violence and the idea of an armed invasion running through my mind. You know, I keep having nightmares about it.
Yeah.
If they start bombing, I'm dead. A lot of people are aware that this is a real possibility, and those who are thinking it like that, like, there's not a single one that would say, hey, yeah, sure, they should bomb Havana. Like, you know, that's not a thing. Like, you could find someone that tells you, sure, I hope the government changes, right? But bombs and bullets, they have no names. You know, once the shooting starts, no one's, you know, stopping and say, oh, let's see if this guy was a communist.
After that fun chat in the taxi, we finally got to the Neuroscience Institute to meet up with Dr. Mitchell Valdez Sosa.
Don't panic if there's a power cut.
Okay.
The elevator will have no problem, and we'll just wait.
We can do the interview in the elevator.
All right, yeah.
Perfect.
This was the very first medical equipment manufactured in Cuba, a Cuban computer.
It turns out Cuba became a research hub thanks to this computer and a guy called Erwin Roy John, the father of quantitative electroencephalography and neurometrics. And look, I don't know what that means, but I was standing in front of a world-renowned scientist, so I just nodded along, right? Now, Erwin Roy John wasn't a fan of Big Pharma, and he was a massive fan of Cuba's universal healthcare system because, you know, he's interested in treating people and not just making products for a company to sell to the highest bidder. So he wanted to do his research here.
Erwin Roy John was fired up with this idea, and he said, I'm going to bring to Cuba some computers with my software for studying the electrical activity of the brain. Of course, when he asked, for the permit, whatever, to export it, they said, oops, that's trading with the enemy. In the meantime, Fidel had talked to the university professors and asked them, you guys can make a computer? He said, we can. And looking at the user's manual, they started deducing, if this does this, it has to work in this way in the inside, on the plane. When Roy returned, ashamed, I wasn't able to convince the US government. We said, nope, we have our own computer.
We sorted that. And that was how the Neuroscience Institute was started. Now, the research Erwin Roy John did here led to breakthroughs like this. And trust me, I Googled it. Like, I don't fully understand it, but they're definitely breakthroughs. And in Cuba, these insights were used to test every child in the country for neurological disorders like epilepsy for free. And in the US, these same breakthroughs are used to, charge parents upwards of $22,000 if they want to know if their kid has epilepsy. So it's no wonder Roy John opted to do his world-renowned research in Cuba, even though he knew full well that he would be blacklisted by the US government for doing it. Cuba is the only country in the world that had to develop everything themselves. From the ventilators that saved countless lives during COVID to screening devices for newborns and hearing aids, which by all accounts should be almost impossible to do. Like even in a country like the US, right? One of the biggest biomed industries in the world, they still rely heavily on global supply chains for all their medical treatments, right? No country can function without accessing the things that the rest of the world produces. But cutting off Cuba from the world isn't just cruel to this island nation of 10 million people.
There are people that feel, we're blackout, people that feel.
It's also cruel to everyday Americans who can't access any of Cuba's medical breakthroughs, such as, treating early onset Alzheimer's or healing diabetic ulcers without having to amputate a limb, which affects you.
Classic.
No, the person watching this, it affects you directly. Like you've been sitting here watching it for over an hour now, and that means that you're much, much more likely to develop type 2 diabetes.
Tens of thousands of amputations in the US and all over the world. The cooperation between the US and Cuba could save from amputation.
Incredible how self-reliant Cubans are making everything on their own.
People a year. There's no right to harm a country, but you're also harming your own people. It's absurd. It's absurd.
This US policy of suffocation only really has one explanation.
They don't like the Cuban example. This is fractions of a cent. We provide our people with medicines at extremely low prices. In the US, the whole pharmaceutical industry is profit-driven. And this is the gigantic lobby. So this example of socialized medicine and preventive medicine, it doesn't fit into their profit-driven ideas. And they don't like the Cuban example.
The US has been doing this for the past 60 years, and it's crazy to think that these doctors and researchers are still making scientific advancements with an economic blockade and rolling blackouts. And we were about to experience a really big one that night while we were having beers with our 80-year-old friend Claudio at the hotel.
Have you guys seen this video before?
It was pretty freaky, but sadly this was business as usual for the Cubans, and everyone was ready with emergency torches and emergency orchestral instruments.
Is someone just playing the flute outside in the middle of the blackout?
I've heard of this channel before. It's one of my favorite channels.
Oh, there's a car coming. Someone's got a light.
Favorite channels.
This would be so creepy if it wasn't for the flautist.
It turns out some people are even more prepared than the flute player, and they have their own backup generators.
Will our key cards... Oh, there we go. Hey, nice. I was wondering if our key cards will open the lock to the door.
Now, we've never been in a citywide blackout before, so we took this opportunity to scope it out. Occasionally, you'll stumble upon a private business that managed to get a backup generator going, but generally it was just pitch black. I can't imagine going through this multiple days a week. I mean, we barely found our way home in the dark, but we woke up to some even worse news the next morning. Our 2 boats were still missing.
It's quite scary. And then you think of all those songs we were singing.
About dying at sea. Yeah. Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, I hope they're okay.
Yeah, and I think the thing that kind of got me today is that they did a search and there was no one. Oh, there's nothing we can really do.
Yeah.
Just wait and see and hopefully they come down to that harbour over there, to the end of this street, and we go give them big hugs.
Now, to get our mind off of our potentially dead friends, we decided to, talk to some people whose lives were comparatively worse to make us feel better. So we went to Centro Habana, one of the poorest parts of the city, to see how everyday people were living under the blockade. We thought the best place to start was at the Community Medical Center to speak to Dr. Roxana. She agreed to chat with us about how the community was dealing with the blockade, but I also realized I had an opportunity to get free healthcare, so I wanted to get that sorted first.
Primero tengo una tos.
Roxana, dile la verdad. Dile que Dios por la queda.
Si es algo serio.
So apparently there's one of these community clinics every couple of blocks in Cuba, and they're actually community doctors, right? They spend half their day in the clinic like a normal GP, then they spend the rest of their day going around doing routine checkups at people's houses. So your average Cuban will have a GP visit them every 2 weeks for checkups, not just when they're sick, but all the time. In Australia, we got so much money and resources, but you'll never, ever get that amount of attention from a doctor. I'm lucky if I get 5 minutes with a GP when I'm sick, let alone if I feel perfectly fine.
Yo tuve un problema en Australia hace 20 años. Yo fui enfermo cada vez y no sé por qué. Y fui al doctor y hacemos muchas investigaciones. Pero el problema fue que yo no he lavado mi semana por un año. Y por eso fue Pero el doctor no ha invitado a mi casa y por eso no sabe que soy tan sucio.
Por eso es fundamental, o sea, tienes que ver al paciente íntegramente con todo. Lo tienes que ver con todo, porque hay enfermedades psicológicas que te afectan orgánicamente, hay enfermedades orgánicas que descompensan la parte psicológica. La higiene es fundamental para todas las demás enfermedades. Entonces todo tú lo tienes que ver todo en conjunto, que es la base de todo el Sistema Nacional de Salud.
I was honestly amazed by the Cuban health system, and frankly I found it embarrassing that a country with nothing can offer their citizens much more than a rich country like Australia. But this phone call that interrupted us was an instant reminder of the reality of what they're going through under the blockade.
Ya lo que tenía los di, ahora mismo le di al último una enfermera ahí de policlínica. Tenía.
Just like the hospitals, there were barely any medical supplies left in the country, and everyone's just trying their best to get a hold of some.
Unos días la semana que viene a ver.
We decided to follow Roxana around that day while she did her house visit, so we could get a better feel of how regular Cubans are dealing with the unfolding humanitarian crisis. Her first patient was Glenda, a 79-year-old woman who was diagnosed with diabetes. And after her checkup, she agreed to chat with us about, how she's been dealing with the blackouts.
¿Es posible saber cuándo lo vas a tener?
Hay veces sí, hay veces no. La mayor parte de las veces la empresa eléctrica no puede pronosticar porque no sabe.
Sí. Pero para mí es muy difícil aprender cómo funciona esto.
No, lo difícil es saber por qué no reímos todavía.
Pero sería difícil todo, por ejemplo, si no hay corriente, ¿cómo se cocina la cena?
Exactamente. Entonces, ¿qué es lo que hacemos nosotros? Cuando viene la corriente, hay que levantarse a resolver ese problema. Hacer los frijoles, esto, lo otro, para que sea nada más.
Y eso puede ser a las 3 por la noche.
A las 3 de la mañana. Puede ser cuando sea.
Si a eso le suma el agua, tienes que entonces... Esa es otra.
Por ejemplo, para lavar hay que tener en cuenta, uno, que haya agua. Porque aunque haya agua en la cisterna, si no hay electricidad, para poder impulsarla. Dos, que el motor sirva, porque esa es la otra historia. Y tres, que hay electricidad. Hay que conjugar las tres cosas. Y a veces no. El otro día estuve 2 días con la lavadora de ropa sin poder lavar.
It turns out Glenda was 13 years old when the revolution happened, and because she knew how to read and write, as a teenager, she volunteered to go teach in the countryside as part of this, sudden nationwide push to eliminate illiteracy. And what she saw in the Cuban countryside in 1960 broke her.
Y ahí me di cuenta qué cosa era realmente el capitalismo. Por los campesinos sin ropa, los niños con la barriga llena de parásitos. La situación tan grave que había es donde yo alfabeticé, que ahí la situación era morirse de hambre, era la realidad que se vivía en ese momento. A mí se me murió en los brazos un niño de 2 años por asma. Eso fue un golpe para mí tremendo. O sea, yo tengo eso grabado en mi mente. A mí no hay que me haga cuento de que cubanos son los americanos, ¿no? Ni el capitalismo, mentira. Eso es cuento.
I noticed this weird souvenir clock she had on her wall as well, and it turns out she's experienced capitalism more than once. In 2009, the South African government was giving out flights to people who wanted to volunteer in local communities, and she obviously jumped at the rare opportunity to, see the world that she'd been locked out of.
Pero date cuenta que en Sudáfrica yo fui a una comunidad que tenía 500.000 personas viviendo en casucha, con las mínimas condiciones. Increíble eso, era algo. Y uno de los problemas que tenían ellos más complicados era que no sabían cómo enterrar a los muertos, porque era muy caro. Y entonces las comunidades tenían un consejo que tú tenías que pagar todos los meses para cuando te murieras te pagaban el entierro. Y entonces cuando yo dije allí, ay, pero si el entierro en mi país es gratis, dice, ¿cómo que es gratis? Pero si es gratis, dice, no, aquí no, es horrible. No sé allá en Australia cómo será.
Se puede sacar, ¿cómo se dice? Insurance, seguro.
Seguro.
Sí, puedes sacar seguro para cuando fue. Eso es algo popular, no sabe. Hay comerciales en televisión.
Pero muy caro.
Tienes que sacar el seguro para morir. Eso no existe aquí.
No. Esto es bueno. Aquí todo es gratis.
Me voy a Cuba cuando quiero morir para hacerlo aquí.
Y te garantizamos el tiempo, no te preocupes. Está bien, bueno, ya saben, aquí nos tienen cuando ustedes
gracias hablar con
si
nosotros.
quieren tomar café, vuelvan otra vez, que todavía me queda. Para 3 días me queda.
Hopefully one day I get to come back and take her up on the coffee, but I mean, getting to Cuba wasn't easy. And when I turned on the TV that night, it felt like getting to Cuba was almost impossible. Like, our missing boats were primetime news in Cuba, and we were starting to get really worried for our friends. But being scared for your friends and family is just a taste of the daily lives of Cuban people who, you know, they're either facing starvation or like a full-on invasion. Like the next news story was about university students training to defend themselves when the US invades. Like, there isn't a single part of these people's lives that isn't affected by the blockade. Like, from the simplest things like garbage trucks struggling to get, you know, the few drops of fuel left in the country so the streets overflow with rubbish, to completely empty tourist centers. Like, literally nothing is coming into this country. But in the middle of all this, the weird part is that life somehow goes on. Like, the country's slowly suffocating, right? They're facing a humanitarian crisis on the horizon, but everyone's just trying their best to live their lives in any way they can. Like, I spoke to so many people during this trip, and obviously the video is already enormous, so I had to cut a bunch of stuff. But if you want to see the full uncut conversations with everyday Cubans, jump on the Patreon because I'll be uploading all of them there. But the same thing happened in all these conversations, right? I kept trying to do the maths. Like, if the average salary is like $20 a month and a bag of rice costs, you know, $12, how is it possible that anyone's surviving? And I asked this question to every Cuban I met, and every person had pretty much exactly the same answer. They all told me that they had no idea either. It's crazy. Like, a couple of days later, we found out that our friends weren't dead, which is, you know, it's a massive relief. And the rest of our humanitarian aid made it to Cuba. And obviously the Cubans were ecstatic that, you know, someone out there cares about what's going on. But the reality is that what's on those tiny little boats can only go so far. Like, things are getting really, really bad in Cuba. Like, people are dying, and everyone else is just living on borrowed time. And this was the point of the blockade for the past 60 years. When enough people starve to death, the Cubans won't have many options left, right? They'll get desperate, and they'll eventually dismantle the socialist system they've built. I mean, unless the US gets bored of waiting and invades them first. But either way, you know, the mafia will get their cities back, the plantation owners will get their slaves back, and the US will get their sugar companies back. And the people of Cuba, they can look forward to becoming just like all the other capitalist third world countries around them, like Haiti and Dominica, or even Puerto Rico, right? Which is actually part of the US, but they haven't had a functioning electricity grid for the past 9 years anyway. Like, these countries experience some of the worst living standards in the world, and their lives are about to get much worse because the US recently kicked all the Cuban doctors out of the third world as part of the blockade. So I guess Haiti doesn't have any healthcare now either. And it made me think about all these places from, you know, Haiti to Somalia, where, you know, people can't afford food and everyone's slowly starving to death. In all these places, it's kind of really hard to even work out where to start, right? Like, how do you fix this? Who's going to invest? What would they even build there? Is it going to go to the right people, right? But the tragedy of Cuba is that they've already set everything up on their own. You know, they got world-class healthcare, they've got the infrastructure and the know-how. Like, the only thing we need to do is just stop fucking with them, you know? Like, literally the only thing the world needs to do is just treat them how we treat any other country in the world, right? Let them buy food, let them buy fuel, let them buy medicine. Just let them sell stuff. I don't know. We just need to be normal. At this point in the video, you know, I'd usually provide a link, right? Like, I want to share a fundraiser for Progressive International that's planning to bring more aid boats to Cuba, but the US has sanctioned them too. So honestly, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't usually say this, but I'm completely out of ideas. It's up to you guys. Like, you need to do everything you can to stop your governments from killing these people.
Crazy. And that's it. And that's it. How long was that? Hour and a half? And we watched the whole freaking thing. I'm feeling a little sad. To be expected, right? After something like that. Guess the two countries that always vote against taking sanctions off of Cuba. United States twice. They vote twice. I'm getting sweaty and hot again. Israel. Hashtag damn. I mean, okay, good things were happening in that video. Overall, it's good that, you know, getting this information out there. We're getting to see things that we don't normally see in the news, right? It did make me a little sad. That's to be expected, though. The sad topic. I think I'm gonna call it here tonight. I'm really warm and I have to be awake at 3 in the morning for work tomorrow. But I'm glad we did that. This is the progress I made on my plant. That looks cute, right? I think I might spread these out a little bit to show the pot, kind of. I don't know. Anyway, we're gonna raid. I think we're gonna raid Lana. Just make it nice and easy because I think she's streaming. But I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow is Saturday. Tomorrow is Saturday. Vitally important to believe that more people learn that Cuba is not evil and that they've done so much good that America keeps them from keeping from helping the rest of the world. Exactly. Help is vital. And sharing information about it is even more important, but it makes me so discouraged. Yes. And that's a perfect way to describe it. I have a problem of carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders. I see things that make me upset and I see things that I want to change, but there's such big things and it's hard. But community matters. Taking care of your neighbors matters. Taking care of yourself matters. Looking at the community around you and how you can help them in turn will help everyone else. Part of the reason why I did my bingo board, I was often finding like, oh wait, Lana's about to end the stream. I don't know. We're not gonna raid her, I guess. Oh, she's raiding me. She's about to raid me. I'm on her channel and it says raiding Rena Kachow. Stop. I guess I'll wait here until she comes over here. That's so funny. I'm just gonna send them somewhere else. That's so funny. Anyway, I wanted to see, told you, I told you guys. Hi guys. That's so funny. I literally was seconds away from raiding you. That's so funny. Hi guys. If you don't know me, you're a freaking liar. Oh, hi. Hi chat. Hi Lana's chat. My name is Rena. You guys were just chatting. What were you doing today? I wasn't able to listen to the audio. Hi Lizzie. Hi McKenna. This is what I did. I did this little craft. I'm not done with it. It's gonna be a hanging plant for my coworker. And I made a lot of progress on it. And we also watched a video about sneaking. Can I sneak this boat through a military blockade? It was very good if you guys are interested in watching something like that. It's kind of sad, but it's important. Lana, how did you know My Mom is your favorite stream? Someday we will watch Vines. Yes, the worst book in the world. We had a bad time. That's what we did. We did too, kind of. I mean, it was informative and it was educational. It was just a little sad, you know, situations. But anyway, thank you for the raid. I'm about to end my stream too. So, I need some giggles and ha-has. You're not gonna get him here today. Brian is playing Polya. Let's go raid Brian. That's perfect. I'll do it. I'm just gonna close my eyes when I'm raiding. My husband's coworker wrote and published a book. It was bad. Stop. Thank you for that Rena raid message. Wait, that's so funny. Okay, we're gonna find Brian. We're gonna raid Brian. Where is Brian? Okay, we're gonna raid Brian. Anyway, I had a good day today. Tomorrow we will be doing more streaming. I don't know what we're gonna do. We're gonna do hi Winter Set. I'm about to end my stream, but I'm happy you're here. Tomorrow we will either be doing more crafts. I don't know if you guys are interested in getting into game day again. I don't know. We're gonna figure. Made it in for the end. Yes, good job. We're gonna do something. I don't know. Haven't decided what, but I'll be here regular time. I have to be at work at 4 in the morning. That means I have to wake up at 3 in the morning. So we'll see how that goes. Tomorrow we'll have fun, and that's what matters. Exactly. Where's my duck? There's my duck. I love you guys so much. You guys mean so much to me. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Have a great beginning of your weekend. And I hope to see you guys tomorrow. Let's go give some love to Brian, who is playing the game that shall not be named. I'm just kidding. Kidding. Okay, I love you guys so much. Bye. Wait, let me say your names. Bye, Winterset. Bye, McKenna. Bye, Lizzie. Bye, Maro. Bye, Helix. Bye, Lana. Bye, everybody. Love you. Bye.